Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would support me and support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. Today, we are going to talk about the season finale of Married at First Sight. That would be season 18, episode 18. And I just want to put a preface out here, reminding y'all that this is a show. I do not care about any of these people in real life. I don't know them. Because today, I feel like I'm going to have a lot of opinions regarding Emem that either you're going to like them or you're going to hate them. Okay, that is the main thing I have to say in this episode. Also, David and Madison scenes, I'm sorry, I'm not going hard into those scenes. Their relationship actually disgusts me and I do not like it. So if you're expecting big analysis on those two, we're not going to do that. So anyway, let's jump into the episode. So this is the post-decision day, season finale, wrap it all up. Let's see what everyone's up to. It felt like a Where Are They Now episode, which I usually thought they did after the reunion, but we shall see. So we leave off at the party. Remember, Michelle is over at the drink table while Madison is saying, and you know, Michelle never gave a fuck about David. They were not gonna be together and go, babe. Or Michelle's like, you wanna go, babe?
Okay, I forget, you're the victim here.
I'm not saying I'm the victim. When have I ever tried to be the victim, Michelle? You're trying to change your storyline.
I've never...
Everything I've said to you has been real.
Can we have a conversation real quick? Please?
You should go. You're...
You want to talk about my feelings, babe? You really want to say that, babe? So she sits down. Michelle is like, look, I defended you to your face when everybody was talking about this whole thing. I said, no, it's not to Madison. It's not to Madison. The text is not to Madison, but it actually turned out to be to her. They start to go back and forth. Madison's main point is, why do you care so much? Why does it matter? It doesn't matter. You didn't like him. Michelle's main point is, because I thought you were my friend. You lied to my face for 2 months. And Michelle makes it very clear that she does not care that David cheated, right? But she cares about the lying. And obviously that was very clear that Michelle's main anger and irritation was towards Madison for lying to her. Michelle, she never cared about David. She never cared about David. Let's, but I think overall it really hurt and embarrassed her. Michelle even says, look, yes, it is true that me and David were likely going to end in divorce, but it still doesn't mean that she had to lie to my face for 2 months. So overall, they really don't get anywhere. They babe us to death. And finally, David's like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. You know what? I'm just gonna bounce. The two of them get up, they leave. They're walking down the stairs like,
Where are my devil horns?
I'm getting upset. I'm gonna start crying. No. Don't. And I don't want to cry about them.
Don't.
Even though I know they're not gonna last. It just feels like them coming here together is like them winning and like I can act.
Madison's like, put me in the ring with Michelle. She'll only last for one punch, babe. And I'm like, oh my God. This is absolutely brutal. I think, again, with David and Madison, the fact that there is no remorse. And okay, if you're David, I'm not saying that he's right, but it's more understandable why David might not have any remorse because Michelle treated him like trash and he doesn't care. But for Madison to literally be so, I don't know, to have such a snarky, condescending attitude towards Michelle for no reason. And look, I've seen this behavior happen before. I have a lot of stories in my life. I know I always vaguely reference stories in my life, but I had an experience where I was cheated on and the girl, she was all up on her social media talking about me, calling me crazy, calling me delusional. Mind you, I never met this girl in person, but she had so much to say about me. And I think oftentimes that's what happens, that women will villainize someone else so they don't have to feel like they are guilty or they are in the wrong for what they're doing. And so that's exactly what you see Madison doing, because she's villainizing Michelle and doing the most and taking on whatever David has said. And it's like, It actually doesn't make sense, Madison. It doesn't make sense what you're doing. This fight was so stupid. They didn't get anything accomplished. And to be honest, there's no breaking through to these two hard-headed fools. They do not care about what they did. So we're not going to see any remorse. We're not going to see any change, any difference. And I don't even know why Michelle bothered to sit here and fight in front of this entire group with the two of them, knowing that they're not going to do anything. So they go downstairs, Madison and David, and they pretend that this is their first little kiss. Because remember, we're pretending that they just found out they liked each other a week ago. So now they have their first little kiss, and it's like, oh my God, babe. And I'm just gagging. I'm just gagging because it's just, they disgust me. Our next scene is of Madison and David pulling up to this tattoo shop called High Class.
Like it.
I see you smiling, so that's a good start.
I like it.
Yeah, let me do a little bit of alterations to it.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Going through some pain.
Yeah.
God, it looks so good.
A fitting name. So basically in this scene, David is getting that tattoo covered up that he has of the ex's name. Remember, he had mentioned this. Now we get a flashback scene because Madison says that this is the first thing that she and David talked about over the honeymoon. And I found it very weird how they were trying to almost act like it was David and Madison that were originally matched, because they said on the honeymoon, but they didn't mention that this was the honeymoon that they were having with their previous partner. I don't know. I just found that editing choice to be a little bit weird. Are we going to be pretending now that these two were the real couple? So David gets it covered up. The tattoo is disgusting. It's ugly. I don't know what it is, but that tattoo was super duper ugly. It's a spray can, and then it's like the paint is covering up the name. It looks really bad. I don't know. He has half of it done here because we see his shirt off, right? So if he has a piece here, I don't understand why they didn't just take the time to put a piece here. But they talk a little bit about the night before. David says it went better than expected. Madison at this point says she could just wrap it up. She doesn't care if she ever sees Michelle again. David's like, well, you shouldn't have wasted that energy on her, you know. You should have wasted that on me. And then he's like, and then she's like, oh my God, you did kiss me though. Oh. And he's like, did you like the kiss? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do an entire 2 hours of these two pretending that this is the first time that they've ever kissed, that they've ever hugged, that they've been alone, that they've been intimate. I'm tired of these on-camera dates, and they keep having these on-camera dates. I know why they're having these on-camera dates, because David ain't got no money, okay? Anytime the camera crew is filming, they pay for it. That tattoo cover up, the camera crew paid for it. All these little dates they're having, the mini golf, because David ain't got no money to take her on a date. That's why he keeps wanting to have these dates on camera. I see you. I know what's going on. Now, something I do think is interesting is that it seems very clear and very obvious to me that David never liked Michelle, and I don't know if it's because of how she treated him from the beginning. I don't know if it's just that he found Madison more attractive, but there's a lot of things that David's doing, such as covering up this tattoo, that make it very clear that he actually never really liked Michelle from the beginning, and he was checked out from the beginning. So I do find that interesting, seeing these little things. Anyways, next, on to Carla and Juan. So they are packing up the shared apartment. This is the first time they've seen each other since decision day. Juan is basically like, so are we friends? Juan wants to be Carla's friend to make sure that she ain't gonna talk ish about him outside of this experiment, okay? He wants to be able to say, we're friends, so we're cool. Carla says, no. Carla's basically like, I'm gonna keep it a sec. I don't really think we should be spending that much time together because I came here for a marriage. I didn't come here for a friendship. So not really feeling it. Carla's like, what do you even mean by friends anyway? And Juan is like, we could grab coffee. We can just chat, meet up. And she's like, no. Carla flat out says no, and then it gets really, really awkward. They give each other an awkward hug, and then it's done. And again, I respect Carla for it. What is the point if you were looking for something? I also think Carla's feelings always were stronger. I think, obviously, as they went through the experiment, she started to lose those feelings. But nonetheless, I still think that Carla was way more invested in this than Juan ever was. Juan really didn't put barely any effort into this, and I could definitely see Carla being like, no, I'm good. I don't really want to. So Camille and Thomas, they finally have come up with a plan. Camille is super excited because they're actually moving into Tom's apartment, even though apparently Tom didn't have the room. That was the whole big thing, that Tom didn't have the room. His apartment was small, but they're moving into his apartment. Camille is so glad that he finally took the lead. They're talking about little things like, oh, he'll give her the key fob until he gets his new one. And Camille is so in love with the fact that Tom is finally being a leader. Awesome. Love to hear that for them. Next up, Carla and Michelle. They go on a little date, and this is the first time that apparently the two of them have hung out together.
Whatever. And then at the warehouse, I was laughing because I knew it started when you're like, don't.
And they talk a lot about the post-decision day for both of them, but they realize that neither one of them ever consummated their marriages, so it doesn't really count. They're telling everyone, Carla's telling the bartender, and they also both reveal that they only kissed Juan and David at their ceremonies, which I thought was interesting because Juan and Carla, it was at least implied that they got more intimate during the honeymoon, but it wasn't really confirmed. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that they never even kissed after the honeymoon. So again, both of them from day one, the relationships were completely done. There was nothing there. Michelle, obviously, it was more on her end. And for Carla, it was more on Juan's end. I always say with Carla is very pretty. She will find someone. She's pretty. She's like in shape. She, someone will like all of her free-spiritedness, funness. I could see that for her. Michelle, girl, I think you need to, check that attitude a little bit, okay? But I will say Michelle's 40. She looks very, very good. She does look like she takes care of herself. So good for her. That's what I got on them. So back to Camille and Thomas. They're moving into Tom's place, and finally Camille breaks out that lingerie, the lingerie, baby, and she like, Tommy likey? And he's like, Tommy very likey. And then she jumps on him again. What is up with Camille violently jumping on top of this man? This man is 43. He can't handle it, Camille. Stop that. But these two are still doing well, seemingly. Again, it does seem like Tom is taking more of that role. And if that's what Camille likes, I love it. I'm happy. I wanted them to work. So cool. So then we have a date with Madison and her father. And honestly, Madison's father and what he had to say shows me exactly why Madison is who she is.
For David, of like.
So how did David come up? Like, what started all this David talk? Because we haven't heard anything about David.
So Madison is revealing that she fell in love with one of the other husbands. She fell in for David. Dad's like, what? When did David come up? How did it happen? Same regurgitated nonsense about how David was having trouble with his wife. There wasn't really a spark there. Madison starts to talk about how she feels so bad for her and Allan, how she feels like it looked terrible. She didn't want to treat Allan that way. Dad pauses her and is like, you're beating yourself up and you don't have to do that. At the end of the day, if there wasn't a spark, there wasn't a spark. So Dad's completely on her side, feels like Madison shouldn't even be feeling remorse for this situation, and totally agrees basically with the fact that she instead cheated on Allan with David because there was no spark there. And honestly, Madison and Daddy, you both got terrible morals. So moving on, Emem lets us know she is going on a date. She says she's ready to get herself back out there, and we meet up with her at the restaurant. So basically, Emem lets us know that she is going on a date with this guy named Brandon that she went to school with 20 years ago. They haven't seen each other since the 5th or 6th grade, but he reached back out to her and wanted to go on a date with her.
Going through a divorce.
Me too.
Congratulations.
I know, right? Freedom. Freedom.
Freedom. How long? First date, hung out.
Right into it.
Marriage, 10 and a half years later, I felt like I was just in the right car, just on the wrong street.
So they meet up at a restaurant and basically they're connecting again. Emem is letting him know, hey, I just got out of a marriage. I'm going through a divorce. And this man pretends like he has no idea what's going on, even though there's a camera crew around them. Now he reveals that he is also going through a divorce. And Emem's like, oh, where are you staying? He's like, I'm on my sister's couch right now. And she's like, why? And he talks about how he just got out of the divorce, so he's getting himself back on his feet. Now he claims he is a real estate broker. And Emem is eating this all up. Emem loves it. Emem absolutely loves this. This man reveals that he has 2 kids. And he basically says, look, I like you. I really want to take you out. I want to lock you down. There's no period where it's a ramp up. It's a straight, you are mine. I am yours. And Emem is eating this up. Now, I am really debating what I think about this entire thing. I'm going to be completely honest with you because I'm of a couple of minds. Number one, did Emem seriously start talking to this guy 16 days after decision day, or were they already talking during the experiment? Now, do I think it is a little bit different if Emem was talking to this guy, let's say towards the end of the experiment? Yeah, a little, because Akechi was not there. Akechi was not there. He was in Houston. They had presented divorce papers to each other. So is it possible that she and this guy were talking for maybe a month or something? Yeah. Now, the thing that concerns me and worries me the most is the guy. This guy, Brandon. Let's recap. This guy has 2 kids. He's going through a divorce. He said that he was with his ex-wife for 10 years, but he realized he was done. They were in the right car, but going down the wrong street. So he ended it. And now he's on his sister's couch and he's a real estate broker. Now, we already know on these shows, real estate broker is code word for bum. He's living on his sister's couch. Bum. I'm just, from the minute I heard this, I was like, Emem, I know that you did not fall head over heels for this man. But she did. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Stay tuned. Anyway, let's keep on moving to Juan and Allan. So Juan and Allan, they meet up in some dark room. I don't know, child. All these people always meet up in these like dark, dingy bars, and I've never been to Chicago, so I don't know if that's a thing in Chicago, just these underground bars, but there's so many of them and they always meet up there. So Juan and Allan, they're talking. Allan's like, how's things going with you and Carla? How are you? Juan says he wanted a friendship with Carla, but Carla doesn't really want it, so they're good. Yeah, I mean, why would she want to be your friend? There's nothing. You also, like, when I think about Juan and Carla, Juan dragged Carla's interest. Juan literally said that he doesn't like tarot, he doesn't like Pilates, he doesn't like the things she likes. So what would there be to be friends about? Anyway, Allan says that he has not talked to anybody yet, but he has been going on some dates and he's been experimenting with some different things, trying out some different fetishes here and there. He says he's not quite ready to lock into anything deep, but he does want to continue to explore some of the urges that he has. Juan's like, oh, you mean sexually? And he's like, well, I've been on the apps and some of the girls like to use these acronyms and things like that. So I don't know. What's the problem with having a few drinks, having some fun, and just being on the market? Honestly, I don't have much to say there. I think as long as both parties consent and are aware of what is going on and they're both okay with it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't think that after this kind of experience or after any marriage, you should be jumping immediately into another engagement, cough, cough, or anything of that nature. So I have no problems with that there. Allan, have fun being on the market, have fun exploring, have fun doing what you do, and no judgment there. So Madison and David, they have another fake date. This time they're at an ice cream place. The summarized version of this is that they got intimate that morning. They talked about how they loved what they ate for breakfast. It was delicious. David said he fit like a glove inside of her, and that is it. I'm not going to go deeper than that because you know what, y'all? I don't want y'all to be re-disgusted the way that I was. I don't really get it. I don't get it. First and foremost, with David and Madison, we're supposed to be under the impression that they just admitted their feelings for each other just a week ago or whatever the case is. And now we're from that to, oh my goodness, we're kissing every day. Oh my goodness, we're intimate and everything is amazing. And I just want to know which one of them in their very small heads, right, thought, let's film and we'll film today about how we effed each other and got intimate. No one else is doing that. No one else is sitting here on camera talking about how they effed and the intimacy and how they fit like a glove and how they lick the ice cream. No one's talking about that. These two are so vulgar and nasty. And if you want to really have people buy into your relationship and maybe get on your side, why don't you have normal conversations? The reason why they can't have normal conversations is because this is all fake. They have the TV timeline, which is that they just told each other that they have feelings a week and a half ago. And then they have the real timeline where it's been 3-4 months. So that's the reason why they're having so much trouble just acting normal and being regular. So all they can revert to is talking about effing. And I'm tired. I don't need to hear the intimate details about how you all ate each other for breakfast. That is nasty. That is vulgar and disgusting. I just did not want to know that from these two. Anyways, girls meet up besides Madison and Michelle. So basically they're catching up after the marriage. Emem basically drops it to the girls that she is dating. And their faces were like, ugh. Emem goes on, it was easy to get out there. I didn't have anything to wait for. I was real happy. I'm happy. I'm feeling great. And then knock, knock, knock at the door. In comes Emem. Man, Brandon.
My last 2 years probably been one of the roughest 2 years I ever had. Everything was just falling apart. If you can say if the tunnel got darker.
Brandon shows up to this event and Camille's like, oh, that's him? And like, sure, this man is attractive. He a fraud. He a fraud. So he sits down and he starts to talk about the light in his life and how he didn't really have a lot of light in his life, giving some weird answers. They're basically trying to figure out, does he like Emem? What is going on here? So as they decide to leave, Emem and the man, they decide to leave. They're like, well, we gotta go. Y'all can stay here if you want. Someone made a joke on another podcast that maybe Carla is sleeping on Emem's couch and that's why, because we know Carla don't got no place. But as they're talking, Carla's like, yeah, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this at all. It is so performative. It does not seem like he is actually into her. You've got to be bringing more to the table about why you like her. And I agree. The fact that this man is so eager to be on camera and then Emem is parading this guy around. Sis, we get it. We get that somebody likes you. But I feel like Emem has a very weird thing that I'm starting to notice with her where she's either all in or all out. And when she's all in, it's like she's hyper fixated. And I feel like in her career, this has probably helped her a lot. But when it comes to dating and relationships, you need to have more discernment. Because it has been 2-3 weeks at this point. 2 weeks, I believe. 16 days. Since decision day, and you guys are already here. This meeting was supposedly the second time they hung out. Now that's if we're to believe that they didn't hang out during the experiment, which at this point, I don't know what I believe. But for me, I am just very, very confused. Emem seems to lack discernment. This man is a bum sleeping on the couch with 2 kids. He was in a 10-year relationship. Then he got out of it. And I'm going to be honest, his story about his 10-year relationship, to me, it sounds like he cheated and got kicked out. I'm just keeping it a stack. And I feel like Emem is having no discernment at all about anything. And she's just parading this man around like, look at my man, he like all this. Girl, I know you can't be serious, Emem. Ooh, Chile. I was with Carla where I was like, you gotta be bringing more than that because this is not making any lick of sense. So our next scene is Emem and cousin Raphael. And Emem tries to break the news that she's dating. And Raphael's like, oh, I already know. He called me. He lets us know he been knew Brandon, that him and Brandon have known each other for 20 years. So he really does have his blessings. He likes Brandon. He knows Brandon. He's a family friend of theirs or whatever. Emem is talking about how she feels great about this. It feels right.
You know, because I mean, at the end of the day, you got baggage, good or bad. She got baggage, good or bad. And at the end of the day, you have to really figure out, is this what you want? It's because at the end of the day, like,
Brandon shows on. As I told you, Emem is parading this man around on camera. Sis, we get it. We get it. You do not need to film with this man in every scene to show that you want to be with somebody. You do not need to do that. But Raphael is asking him questions, talking about, well, how do you guys know this is it? How do you know it's real? I believe you. I know you. But how do you believe that? He says some nonsensical stuff about how he could be with 1,000,000 girls, but instead he wants to be with one girl 1,000,000 ways. It feels right. It feels right. It feels right. Both of these two, all they can say is that it feels right. And just as I say on all of these shows, if you can't give legitimate, concrete reasons why you want to be with your partner, it's not it. So we know that he has 2 kids. Raphael is wondering, what does that mean for you guys having another kid? Brandon doesn't really want to answer. Emem says they've already talked about it all. And I'm like, hold up, right? Because usually when somebody has kids, it's a much longer process to get into the relationship. You know, you slowly date, maybe meet the kids a year in, things as such. If you're an active parent, you don't just automatically start dating somebody else, right? I would think it's a process, but I don't know. I don't have kids. Anyway, Emem says that she is not committed to having a kid. It's not something that she necessarily is looking to do right this second, but she would potentially be open to it. And Brandon doesn't want to say no because he knows that she doesn't have any kids. So again, this leads me to think they haven't talked about anything. They haven't talked. So Raphael says, you have my blessings. I'm all down for it. Emem goes into this whole thing about how this is right for her. She knows it's right for her because he makes her feel big and Ike always made her feel small and he doesn't squash her down. And I'm like, Emem, are you effing kidding me? So then we get this weird scene where the producer's like, okay, what's next for you guys? As Emem, I believe, is probably outside saying bye to her cousin. So Emem comes back in and this man proposes with no ring. He does not even have a ring. And he proposes to her. And Emem says yes. And she says that she knows that this is the marriage and not the one with the catchy because she feels it in this marriage and she never felt it in the other one. Emem girl, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. I'm gonna hold your hand. It's not looking good when one of Akechi's main arguments against you was that you just want to be married and any man that filled in that gap would have worked for you. And then you're getting married to a man that allegedly you started talking to 16 days ago. 16 days post decision day. And you're getting married. Emem, I've had your back the whole season, but you gotta use discernment. That's one thing about Emem that I see here. She lacks discernment heavily. Heavily. I get it. I get wanting to be married. I get having the dream. But this man has kids. He's living on his sister's couch. He's a real estate broker. Where are the questions being asked? Are you ready to be a stepmom, Emem? Is this man involved in his kid's life? And the icing on the cake is that both of the two of you are still going through your divorces. Emem, it doesn't spark something inside of you that this man is still actively going through a divorce, as in he is still legally married at this moment. And he proposed to you right now, after knowing you for, what, a month? Yeah, girl, I gotta hold your hand when I say it's not looking good. It's not looking good because Ike said some stuff and then you're doing stuff on camera that now is low-key giving some validity to the things that he said. Because you cannot tell me, girl, that this is it. Y'all couldn't even wait for the divorces to be finalized. You couldn't wait for the papers to be signed, for the ink to dry on the papers. Okay. So Madison and David, it's her birthday. He got a hotel. He got drinks. He comments on how the girls are girling in her dress. He can't keep his eyes down, yada, yada, yada. He gets her an espresso martini, and on the martini it says, I want to eat you up. He says, haha, I thought you'd get a kick out of it. I'm so tired of these two. I'm so tired of this fake TV timeline. Please get these two off my screen. So Emem and Brandon, they go ring shopping.
What brings you in today?
We're looking for an engagement ring.
Nice, nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, we do have our rings here.
Emem, I swear, if you bought that ring, sis, they go ring shopping because he did not have a ring. This dusty ass didn't even have a ring to propose to you with. Emem, how are you this successful and this swayed you over? And we don't know who bought that ring because I have a feeling she bought that ring. But Emem claims this is everything she ever wanted. She's happy. She's loved. She's getting married. Camille and Thomas, they move into Tom's apartment. I feel like we got 3 different scenes of them putting bath mats on and all these different things. So David and Madison, they get into the all-purple hotel room. They start to talk about everything. David pretends to tell her for the first time that he loves her. And she's like, I had a feeling you'd say it tonight. Okay. So everyone is meeting up for Tom's birthday. Madison reveals in the confessional that she had asked Allan to meet up through text, and he politely declined. So she hopes that they can talk that night. And again, what is there to talk about? I'm just being so for real, Madison. You're not a person that tells the truth. If you were someone that was maybe going to come clean and Allan would be able to get some form of closure, then it would be worth it to meet up with you. But you're a liar, so there's nothing to talk about. Emem shows up with Brandon and she tells the entire group that she's engaged, and everybody's faces were horrified.
Not real self.
Fair.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I didn't say I have some concerns. They both are.
Including mine. Because again, what is this? What is this? In the confessional, everyone's like, we're so happy for her. David's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but I mean, congratulations to them. She lets them know they're going through their respective divorces while being engaged. It is very clear that Brandon loves the camera. And again, to me, that is another red flag. Why are you so eager to be on camera? Why are you so ready to be in the spotlight? Emem, come on, girl. This is making me so upset. It's not even funny. So Madison in her confessional is like, I feel like me and David don't really have the support that even Emem and Brandon got, but that's okay because at the end of the day, we know what we're here for and it doesn't matter if we have everyone's support or not. Oh, Lord. So David does have to leave to go to work, but before that, he wants to go over to to Michelle real quick and try to talk to her. So he's like, can I grab you for a minute? Michelle's like, no. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this for me anyway. I'm really sorry. You're a great woman. I shouldn't have done this to you. I just want to say sorry again. I know that this was not right, but I really want you to know that I really didn't mean it. He goes on and on. Michelle does not care. She's like, thanks. Michelle lets the little group know that she's talking with that he had to do that for him, for his image. She was not asking for that, never did, so she doesn't care about it. So Ike shows up. As Ike shows up, we get a pan of Brandon and Emem sitting booed up, hand in hand. I mean, seriously, Emem, they are parading around this performative relationship, and I'm tired.
Yo, start. Come on. How's it going, boss? I'm Brandon. I'm Brandon. Nice to meet you, man.
So Brandon's like, who's that? And she's like, oh, my ex-husband. So Brandon then gets up and is like, hello, nice to meet you. And he's like, who are you? Akechi? He's like, oh, I'm Emem's fiance, Brandon. Nice to meet you, brother. And Akechi's like, okay, congratulations. And for the first time this season, I felt Akechi. Because for what reason is your new man going up, making a spectacle? It's like you're trying to brag, Emem, and it looks pathetic. It looks so pathetic what you're doing right now. We get it. Akechi made you look like trash. You're happy. You're one of those, I'm married, I got a man, I'm a wifey type of girls, Emem. You have showed us that you are one of those, I got a wife, I'm a wifey. Stop. This is pathetic. This is so pathetic. And I felt Akechi, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but I felt Akechi when he was like, okay, congrats. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, what did you want him to say, girl? That's the thing. Let it rest. I said 3 episodes ago, you got your lick back. You read the letter. We were all on your side. But then it's like you keep going and going and going and going. And it's like, girl, no. So Akechi, in his confessional, says, well, it's crazy that I was made to feel like I was crazy, I was delusional, I was just saying a bunch of nonsense when the reality is all of this stuff I said about her wanting a plug and play husband is true. And I was like, ooh, I hate that Akechi had a leg to stand on. But this is what happens. This is what happens. I'm not going to go as far as to say that I feel like Akechi was warranted in treating Emem this way. But I don't know. Maybe there was some things that we did not evidently see, because a lot of at least when it came to the plug and play husband stuff, she proved it on TV. Child. So they ask Akechi, do you want a drink? Everyone else from the cast, they're asking him, oh, do you want a drink or whatever? He says, nah, I got a date. And they're like, details. He's like, nah. He's like, I don't know. I'm out here. It's open season. I'm going on a date. So Emem, before Akechi leaves, she's like, would you like to talk? Can we talk? Can I borrow you for a second? He's like, nah. She's like, okay, well, I just want to publicly apologize because I know that it hurt you. I know that my reactions to a lot of things made you feel a certain way. And I just wanted to let you know that everything I did was out of care. It was because I actually really do care about you. I did love you at the time. She goes on and on and on. Akechi says he didn't give a fuck in the confessional. And I'm like, Emem, let it rest. Let it rest. I'm sorry, but something in this episode about Emem was giving manic. It was giving manic. I'm sorry. I just don't know what is going on with Emem. But this whole episode, I'm sitting here mouth aghast. Just like agape. Agape. The word's agape. Mouth agape. Also sitting here aghast. And I'm like, what is going on, Emem? What are we doing? Oh, Lord. So we end off this little party with Allan. So Allan, he's like to Madison, they're all sitting in a group. He's like, hey, I know you've been trying to text me, over and over again. And for me personally, I'm going to be honest, I don't really see a need to meet. I don't really see a reason why we need to have closure. I think that we said our pieces and everything is good. So she says that she feels like it would be good to have that closure because every time they've met since the situation has been in front of everyone else. And Allan's like, what is there to close out? What is there to close out? And again, I get it because Madison is a liar. If she was a truth teller, if she was going to be upfront and honest and come clean, maybe. But if you're just going to sit there and lie, what is there to talk about? So Madison continues to talk about how she's the victim and how during the expert's visit, he wouldn't even look her in the eye. And she gets it, but it was so hard for her. He says, look, I have no ill will. I have nothing against you. I've been exploring myself physically, mentally, sexually. I'm like, Allan, we don't need to. And that is how we end this episode. Y'all, this was such a bad episode. This episode was terrible. Maths, kinetic. I don't know who was responsible for this episode, but take it off. Put it away. Next week is the part 1, the 2-part reunion. So anyways, if you made it to this point of the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate if you would support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We're on the road to 10K. So I would greatly appreciate you guys engaging with the channel. It really does help. I really do see the subscribers roll in whenever you guys interact with the video. So please, please, please do it. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. Thank you so much for this. And I will talk to you guys in the next one, which will be part 1 of the reunion. Bye.